In my previous existence, my entire fam was reincarnated. My dad, mom, big bro, and little bro. They all fussed over our adopted daughter, Zara. After our rebirth, Zara asked my dad, now known as Mr. Grant, for a lavish mansion. But he ended up making me, Ava, live there instead. Zara then wanted my brainy brother Leo to tutor her. Yet Leo kept bugging me, pleading for tutoring instead. She also desired for my super popular elder brother, Mason, to visit her school. But Mason chose to come see me instead. Zara craved my mom's handcrafted diamond necklace, yet Mom ended up putting it on me. Jenna, how could you mess up your sister's room like this? You know it's not cool, right? Mom snapped, pointing at a wall smeared with red paint and bizarre symbols. Zara, with tears streaming down her face, sobbed, Mom, don't blame Jenna. I shouldn't be stuck in this house any longer. Jenna is your real daughter. No matter how sweet I am, she'll always resent me. I probably trashed the room just to vent. I'm out of here today. Y'all act like you never adopted me. Her voice dripped with a mix of sorrow and resentment as she pretended to pack her things. Mom rushed to comfort her, while a young, irritated, and icy tone came from the living room. Let Jenna move into a dorm, or if she can't hack it, get her an apartment near school. Ever since she came back, peace has been a myth around here. That was Leo, always in his study, gaming after dropping that remark. And after a few moments of frowning and deep thought, Mom, exasperated and helpless, said, Jenna, how about you take a break and move out for a while? Our high-end apartments near the school are owned by the family business. I'll have someone show you one, even hook you up with a maid. Watching Mom seemingly try to boot me out, Zara's eyes sparkled with a hint of triumph. Truth be told, Zara had been the one who doused her own room with red paint and etched those creepy symbols, just to frame me and get me kicked out. For nearly half a year since my return, she'd been pulling stunts like that on a daily basis. It wasn't just at home. Zara's cronies tormented me at school too, and nobody gave a damn. In my previous life, I poured all my energy into fending off her antics and trying to win my family's approval, which led to failing grades and a tragic outcome. Being reincarnated, I decided I didn't need any of them anymore. Even though Dad is a major company boss, Mom a top-notch jewelry designer, Mason a megastar, and Leo a brilliant scholar, I didn't want them in my life. Thinking I was quiet from sadness, Mom softened her tone. You can check out the apartment. If you're not vibing with any of them, you're free to come back. I interrupted bluntly. I'm out. Mom was taken aback by my sudden agreement. For the past 6 months, I'd been desperately trying to fit into this family. Even during clashes with Zara, I never mentioned leaving. I wasn't about to explain myself any longer. Even if I tried, Mom and Leo wouldn't believe Zara deliberately made her room look like a horror flick. I dashed straight to my room, packing up my belongings from the orphanage. Just then, my door swung open. There stood Dad, or rather, Mr. Grant, who was a total workaholic, always jetting off. In my last life, I could count the number of times I actually saw him on one hand. I still recall that Christmas night when the whole family was together. Zara clung to me, sweetly calling me Ava, right in front of everyone. But then, behind my back, she shoved me into the pool. She then theatrically jumped in after me, feigning a rescue, but ended up screaming even louder than I did, drawing all the attention to her while I nearly drowned the day I returned. My no-nonsense nature forced me to point at her after I was saved, telling Dad she pushed me. Zara then cried, playing the victim and insinuating that I couldn't stand her and wanted her out. I thought Leo, who managed the family business, would see right through her act and stand up for me. But he just glared, sternly asking for proof, and dismissed my defense by saying I was too young to be so intolerant. That was that, leaving Mom to play the peacemaker with no resolution. After that, regardless of what went down, whether Zara's minions humiliated me at school or worse, I never uttered another word to Dad. When he came home later, I braced myself for a lecture based on Zara's side of the story. I didn't even meet his eyes as I packed faster, but instead of scolding, he strode over and hugged me tightly. Holding me so fiercely that his voice broke with remorse, he cried, I'm so sorry, my daughter. It's all on me. His shoulders shook like never before, unlike his usual untouchable demeanor. Mom, Zara, and the housekeeper rushed in, all shocked by the sight. I wondered if my moving out revelation finally stirred some genuine fatherly concern in him, making him act out of character to stop me. But whether he tried to stop it or not, I had already made up my mind. No more staying in this messed up house. With the painful memories of my past life, I wouldn't let family sentiment sway me this time. I pushed him away, grabbed my packed bag, and walked out. Dang, Ava, where are you going? Dad asked, now a bit calmer, grabbing me anxiously. I'm moving out, I replied firmly. I know, Ava, I know this house makes you miserable. But don't worry, with me around, you won't suffer anymore. Mom and Zara were about to chime in when the housekeeper quickly interjected. Leo, go check Zara's room. She splashed red paint and scribbled bloody symbols all over it. Dad frowned. I thought he'd scold me harshly like in the past life, and my heart tensed, but instead Dad tenderly stroked my head. This is your home, Ava. Everything here is yours. A messy wall is no big deal. If it makes you happy, you can even tear down the whole place. The rest of the family stared in disbelief. Then Dad turned his icy gaze on Zara and Mom, his tone turning as cold as ice. You want to boot my daughter out over this? We all froze, utterly dumbfounded. None of us expected Dad to protect me like that. Zara's eyes instantly filled with red, and she launched into that Oscar-worthy performance she'd given Mom before. Tears streamed down her face as she wailed, Dad, Mom didn't kick Ava out. None of us did. Ava did something super scary on my wall, and Mom just told her not to do it again. I wanted to leave on my own. Mom couldn't hold me back. Is this princess treating me like a mute again, blaming me? I couldn't take it any longer, and I finally spoke up. Believe it or not, it wasn't me who messed up the wall. No sooner had I spoken than Dad added, I believe her. The confidence in his voice was rock solid. Zara, mid-performance, was stunned into silence, staring at him in shock. I was completely flabbergasted, too. Mom didn't seem to believe me either. Did you see how horrendous Zara made your wall? Didn't you hear what she said? She denied it completely. How can you just assume it was Ava without even asking? Dad's stern rebuke left Mom speechless. Then he solemnly declared, I'm going to get to the bottom of who wrecked that wall. Zara panicked. It was obvious she hadn't expected Dad, who never meddled in our domestic matters, to dig into such a trivial issue. In the end, the blame landed on a helper named Rose. Apparently, Rose had sneakily tried on Zara's new dress, and when the housekeeper caught her, she threw a fit and later vandalized Zara's room in revenge before bolting. Dad scolded Mom harshly. Mom felt a twinge of guilt, but her heart had always leaned towards Zara. Tearfully and insincerely, Zara apologized. Sorry, Ava, I was just scared. I know you never really liked me, so I believed the helpers and assumed you did it. Mom backed her up. Ava, your sister didn't mean it, so don't be upset. Dad didn't hold back. Zara, are you really implying that Ava is intolerant? Is that your idea of an apology? If you're going to say sorry, do it properly. Don't insult my daughter. Zara stiffened, taking a while before crying louder. Dad, I'm your daughter too. How can you say that? Mom hugged her tightly, trying to comfort her. What's gotten into you? How can you hurt Zara's feelings like that? Zara kept up her act. It's my fault. I made you all angry and messed up the home. I'll just leave. Mom, unable to bear seeing her daughter cry, stepped in to soothe her, but Dad cut in sharply. In that case, Zara, pack your stuff and move out now. Zara was stunned, clearly not expecting that. Dad then ordered the housekeeper, pack Zara's things and get a driver to take her to the school dorm. Seeing Dad's serious tone, Zara panicked and clung to Mom. Mom, I can't bear leaving you. Mom frowned deeply. Zara had never been outside before. Dad snapped, Quiet down. It's because you spoil her and blur the lines between right and wrong that our household is a mess. If you say one more word in her defense, you're out too. When Dad got fired up, Mom dared not argue anymore. After all, the fact that Zara falsely accused me was right there for everyone to see. Mom glared bitterly at Dad before trying to console Zara. Just stay away for a while. I'll find you a nice place to live. You'll be comfy. Zara tearfully agreed, though her eyes shot venom at me. At the breakfast table that day, I was served an extravagantly lavish spread. Ever since Zara discovered I loved cookies, the chef had completely banned them for me. Now all the servants who used to look down on me suddenly treated me with respect. Since Dad had made an example out of someone in front of everyone that morning, the housekeeper had already been busy packing Zara's things. Not only clothes, but she was also selecting the best chef, 2 drivers, 2 security guards, 4 helpers, 5 luxury cars, the whole shebang to serve Zara. Dad was livid when he saw this and demanded, "Who ordered so much for Zara?" The housekeeper, leaning on her seniority, said she'd practically raised Zara herself and was worried she'd suffer outside. Dad roared, "She's here to study, not to live it up. And since when did you get to make decisions in this house?" With a dismissive wave, he confiscated all the extras and then, in one swift motion, fired the housekeeper. Her desperate pleas for mercy were met with cold indifference as Dad had the security guards escort her out. Even though she'd served the family for over a decade, Dad axed her in a heartbeat. With that as a lesson, everyone in the house quickly got the message, show me respect or else. Soon enough, some even suggested to Dad that once Zara was gone, they could renovate her room, the biggest, brightest, most luxurious room in the whole house, complete with a 200-square-foot walk-in closet, and hand it over to me. Dad was chuffed when he heard this, agreeing immediately and even tossing a bonus to the suck-up who suggested it. The other servants then started being nice to me, too. I wasn't entirely sure why Dad suddenly flipped his attitude, but if he was willing to dish out the perks, I wasn't about to complain. If he reverted back to his old grumpy self, I'd just pack up and bounce. No biggie. That night, Zara stayed holed up in her room, skipping breakfast. While I was eating, Dad came over asking if I wanted anything else. He promised to have someone whip it up or grab it for me. I was content with my cookies and shook my head. Then Mom sidled up, giving Dad a frosty look and whispered, "You went too far with Zara yesterday. She cried all night. Her eyes are all puffy. It breaks my heart." Dad then placed a bowl of soup before me, instructing me to eat slowly and turned to Mom. "You need to understand one thing. Ava is our true daughter. She shares our blood. I get it. Zara was raised by us, and you care about her more than Ava. I don't expect you to love Ava completely, but at least don't play favorites. Right now, I just want to make it up to my daughter and protect her from bullies so she can finally have a happy life." I glanced at Mom. Her expression was a bit off for a moment, but soon she recovered, defensively asking, "How have I been favoring one over the other? All the kids get the same allowance every month." Then she quickly switched gears. "Fine, ignore Zara if you want, but you can't ignore your brother." Leo retreated to his room after dinner the previous night and hadn't come out since. Dad, clearly annoyed, said, "Aren't you his mother? You check on Leo. I'm staying with my daughter for breakfast." After breakfast, Dad declared he'd drive me to school himself. Meanwhile, Zara, who still hadn't shown up, emerged from her room dragging a suitcase, her face pale with tear stains, looking all pitiful. Mom rushed over, ordering the servants to take Zara's suitcase and asking, "Do you want to eat or drink anything, Zara?" Zara mumbled a soft no as she looked up. Tears were about to fall again, until Dad pulled out an exclusive black card from his wallet. Suddenly, her tears dried up. She grinned sheepishly and said in a saccharine voice, "Daddy, my allowance is cool, but since it's from you, I'll take it." "Thanks, Dad. I'll use it smartly." When she reached for the card, Dad handed it to me instead. "Ava, you use this," he said. Zara was shocked and then broke down, shouting in her trademark sweet tone, "Dad?" Dad frowned. "Didn't you say your allowance was enough? If you're good, you don't need a card." Mom, now a bit more composed than Zara, but still not on board, chimed in, "Ava's never even used a card, and she's still a student. She doesn't need it." But Dad was insistent. "Exactly because she's never used one. She needs to learn. Ava's 17. She needs cash for study supplies, clothes, bags, watches, hair accessories, all of which cost money." Zara stared at the black card in my hand, her eyes burning with envy. I noticed her fist trembling with anger, and I couldn't help but feel a tiny bit smug. So I accepted the card without fuss. Dad even offered to drive me to school himself, which made Zara's face twist even more, her eyes filled with malice. Just as we were about to get into the car, Mom cried out from inside the villa, Leo, what's wrong? Wake up, don't scare me." Apparently, Leo had passed out in his sleep. Since Dad couldn't leave, he had the eldest driver take me, while Zara left in another car. I asked the driver to drop me off at a specific bank. At the bank, I flashed the card Dad had given me and got top VIP treatment. In less than 10 minutes, I managed to cash out 5 grand and stashed it in my backpack. Back in the car, I spotted a number in the school directory and dialed it. Caleb, a notorious school bully with a rep even worse than the others who tormented me. When I first transferred, Caleb had helped me once when he saw me getting picked on. After that, the bullies got even nastier. To avoid visible injuries, they'd resort to needles, kicks, and punches right to my gut. They even stuffed dead rats in my backpack, splattered blood on my desk, and just didn't stop. I told my family about the bullying, but they were too wrapped up in their own issues. They just couldn't fathom that school bullying could be deadly. None of them took it seriously. After the brutal round of bullying, I wasn't bold enough to ask Caleb for help, but this time, I had to protect myself. I called him up. "Hey, it's Ava. I want to hire you as my bodyguard. Meet me at the school gate. I'll pay you $1,000. Caleb, who needed cash badly, he'd been rocking the same ragged uniform until it was practically falling apart, agreed in a heartbeat. I even asked, "If the bully is a girl, will you still hit her? You cool with going into the girls' restroom?" Caleb chuckled mischievously. "If you say hit, I'll hit. If you say go in, I'll go in." At school, the bullies were waiting at the front gate. In my previous life, I was timid, kept my bangs long to hide half my face, and slouched along. Now, I tied my hair in a high ponytail, showing off my full face, and walked in with a newfound confidence. The bullies gave me snarky smiles and trailed me from a safe distance. Further ahead, I spotted a tall, lean figure striding out of a classroom building. My anxious heart calmed instantly, and I straightened up even more. As I passed the restroom area, the leader, a burly guy, grabbed my shoulder. A group of them blocked my path and shoved me into the girls' restroom. Some girls using the facilities bolted out as if they'd seen a ghost. Clearly, these punks were working for Zara since they demanded my black card immediately. I kept quiet as they snatched my backpack, pinned me down, and tried to force my face into the toilet. Just then, Leo stormed in like a whirlwind, his long legs sweeping several bullies off their feet. He then grabbed the burly guy and beat him senseless. With his nose and mouth bleeding, Leo glared and warned, "If any of you dare touch Ava again, I'll kill you. I got a medical diagnosis saying I'm bonkers, so the cops can't do a thing. Scram!" The sight of the beaten guy sent the rest scurrying away like defeated mutts, and I watched in stunned silence, feeling a mix of bitterness and awe. So it turned out that just $1,000 could quell the brutal storm of bullying that once had me a trembling mess. I now earn several $1,000s in pocket money every month, whereas in my past life, I was too scared to even think of resisting, letting them snatch away every dime. After we got back to class, Leo, whom I'd paid, moved my desk to the back next to his. Zara sat in the middle, watching from afar, her eyes grinding with anger, or so it seemed. Looking at Leo, who was dozing with his head down, I felt a newfound sense of security. I had 50 grand in cash, more than enough to keep him around as long as I needed. During English class, when we got our test papers back, I flunked. The teacher shot me a dark look, and after class, a timid girl from the farthest fourth row shuffled over with her head down. She barely dared to meet my gaze as she stuttered, "Ava, can I help you with English? And, can I come to the restroom with you?" Her name was Linda, and although she had good grades, she too was a target of bullying. I glanced over at Leo, still snoozing, and after a moment, I agreed. Whether it was just one or two, it didn't matter. I might even have to pay Leo a bit more, treating him like my own personal tutor. But to my surprise, by the end of the day, I no longer needed to shell out cash for Leo's protection. After morning classes, as I was heading to the cafeteria, I was stopped by a group of middle-aged folks crying and begging for my forgiveness. When I didn't respond, two of them even knelt down, sobbing. "Ava, our daughter deserves better. It's all my fault for not raising her right. Please have mercy. She's just starting her senior year, about to take the college entrance exams. If she ends up in jail now, her life's over. Ava, please tell your dad to forgive my daughter. I'll do anything. Shortly after, a sharply dressed man approached and explained the situation. Turns out the driver who dropped me off had overheard my call and recorded the bullies, reporting everything to Dad. Ignoring Leo, who was still out cold, Dad immediately dispatched his team to handle the situation. The man turned out to be Dad's assistant, who even brought top lawyers to confront the bullies and their parents. I was whisked off to the principal's office where the bullies, now bruised and whimpering, were being dealt with. With the assistant and lawyers on the case, I couldn't care less about the pleading parents. Then the assistant's phone rang and he handed it to me. It was Dad, crying so hard his voice was unrecognizable. Daddy, I'm too ashamed to face you. I'm so sorry. I deserve to die. After a long pause, his voice cracked. Daddy had a dream last night that you regretted coming back to us. You tried so hard to fit in, but we pushed you away and you went down a path of no return. When I woke up, I just wanted to make it up to you, love you, spoil you, but I never imagined that my daughter, who suffered for 17 years, would endure such torment at this so-called prestigious school. We saw you wasting away day by day, but we ignored it for our so-called work. What can I do to heal your pain? I know I can't. Even if I die 1,000 times, it won't help. Don't forgive me. Never forgive me in this lifetime. The chairman of a major corporation, reduced to tears and agony, spoke. I held onto that phone and didn't utter a word for ages. He then offered me money. He paid for my education, even threw in a house and a car. I accepted the funds, but any extra was off the table. With that, the bully's reign was completely crushed at school. A while later, Dad's assistant informed me that Dad was busy dealing with the bullies' parents, determined to ruin them for good. Maya-like promises were made by Zara, but no one ever revealed her true involvement. Ever since Dad began funding several new school buildings, the principal and teachers have been extra kind to me. Everywhere I went, classmates whispered about my deep connections. Not just in my class, but even students from neighboring classes actively tried to befriend me, along with my best friend Linda. But those friendships didn't last long. Within days, people mysteriously stopped hanging out with us. Linda eventually discovered that someone was paying others to keep away from us. The moment I heard that, I knew it was Zara. Ever since I started getting popular, Zara had gone bonkers, spending cash to manipulate school friendships. Leo, after that rough day, had been out cold for 3 whole days. When he finally woke up, he wasn't quite himself. Known across school for jumping grades, Leo insisted on downgrading to sophomore year to repeat classes. He even opted for the regular class where Zara and I were. The news spread like wildfire. Teachers practically floated with joy. And Zara? She was over the moon, practically broadcasting the news around class. Before Leo even arrived, everyone already knew he was her brother. Dad had always drilled into us to keep a low profile to avoid unnecessary drama, but Zara threw that advice out the window. Her connection to Leo only boosted her popularity. Some even wanted to befriend her just to snag tutoring from Leo. Many even eyed her as a future sister-in-law, since Leo wasn't just a genius, he was insanely handsome. The school forum still buzzed with debates about him, and another heartthrob. The day Leo transferred to our class, some girls strategically left an empty seat next to Zara's for him. Zara's desk overflowed with colorful love notes and gifts. When Leo first came to school, people even sent him presents. But he coldly tossed them all, and with his fierce reputation, no one dared give him anything after that. They'd even cross the street to avoid him. Hearing footsteps outside the classroom, the excitement among the girls near Zara was palpable. There he was. Sharing a class with a genius in this life was too dope to miss. Zara, grinning, remarked, "He likes white, right? I wore a white dress today and got in trouble for not wearing my uniform for over an hour. He better notice me." I teased, "Zara, I'll do your chores for a week if you help me give him this chocolate, okay?" One girl whispered, "Do you think Leo's cold? He barely talks at school." Zara laughed loftily. "Nah, Leo doesn't chat much with strangers, but around me he's a total chatterbox. He's been glued to me since we were little. He transferred just for you, didn't he?" Another friend added, You guys have such a solid sibling bond. It's enviable. I scribbled some notes replying, not our business, don't even worry about it, but seriously, he's really handsome. You into guys like him? Leo, usually napping in class, surprisingly peeked at me. I shook my head firmly and Linda responded with an O. Leo then closed his eyes and drifted back to sleep. Soon, Leo walked in with our teacher. An unusual hush fell over the class. The teacher eagerly introduced Leo, telling him to choose any seat or else she'd rearrange the room. I looked up to find Leo staring directly at me. I was stunned. He looked thinner, likely from being out cold for days. His eyes were red, like he'd been crying his heart out. Some girls stood to introduce themselves, but Leo only had eyes for me until the teacher prodded him to speak. Finally, he said, I'm here for one person. I want to protect her, study with her, and help her get into college together. That person is my sister. The class exploded into screams, interrupting his speech as girls near Zara went wild with excitement. Zara tried to play modest, covering her mouth with a laugh. Seriously, I told him not to be all high profile. How could he do that? It's so annoying. True to form, Leo started strolling over to Zara's desk where the girls' screams abruptly died down. Then the classroom went eerily quiet except for Leo's determined steps. Zara stood among the seated students, like a statue coming alive, her face shifting colors dramatically. Leo placed an empty desk next to mine and patted a dozing deskmate. Hey, mind shifting seats? Move your desk back, will ya? Ava's my sister, he said politely. The shock was so intense, some classmates nearly popped their eyes out. I shot back loudly. I'm not your sister, and I won't sit with you. When Leo confronted me, his brows furrowed sharply as if ready to throw down. The teacher, clearly scared of offending anyone, remained silent. Leo's eyes blazed as he stared, and I kept my face cold. After a long silence, he moved the desk behind me and sat down. Later, during math class, I frowned at a homework assignment, biting my pen over a bunch of unsolvable problems. Before long, a neatly written solution sheet was slid over from behind. I was oddly startled. Leo's unusual behavior reminded me of how Dad had been acting recently. Could it be that Leo, too, dreamed about how I tragically died in my past life? After class, some girls whispered with curiosity about what was going on. Zara ignored everyone and lay on her desk, crying bitterly. The classmates exchanged confused glances. Everyone had a mix of expressions, including me. Then a shadow fell. It was Leo, holding a stack of reference books in his delicate hands. He set them down on my desk, his pale face tinged with red, and said, Ava, check out these books. If you don't get something, just ask me. I'll break it down for you. He placed the books back and sat down. I couldn't figure out what Leo was up to. Remembering his earlier aloofness, I returned the books to him, as other girls dashed over, blushing as they asked Leo questions, but he curtly brushed them off, claiming he was busy. Since Zara never mentioned Leo being her brother again, some bold students cautiously asked, Leo, is Zara your sister? Leo simply replied with 2 words, she's fake, and after a pause added, I only have one sister, and that's Ava. Zara burst into tears again, and Leo pretended not to notice, dragging a chair over to me and opening a reference book. Ava, your previous school might have been lagging behind our pace. That's why you're having trouble with these problems. It's all good. I'll explain it. I snapped back. No need, but Leo persisted. Even if you think I'm annoying, I'm sticking with you until you get into the college you want. If you don't like it, just switch seats, but say one more word and I'll hit you. Unable to win the argument, he rolled up his sleeves, acting all tough. I gently restrained him as Leo frowned. Ava, you aren't going to reject my tutoring, are you? I stayed silent, just grabbing one of his reference books, silently accepting his help. After all, getting into college was my #1 goal in this life, and Leo was an ace tutor. Before long, Linda, blushing, joined in. Emily, I'm not good at math and physics. Can I join your tutoring sessions? Leo immediately agreed. Sure, you're Ava's good friend, and she's my sister. Of course you can join. Linda was ecstatic, nearly shrieking with joy, while many classmates looked on with envy. Zara sulked for days, eventually approaching Leo, looking extremely hurt, asking what she'd done wrong and why he was embarrassing her. Leo calmly replied, "I didn't embarrass anyone. If you feel embarrassed, that's on you. It's not my problem." Zara burst into tears again. "But you do have time for Ava?" Leo replied, "I grew up with her, and she's only been here a short while. How can you compare to our bond?" Zara then blurted, "I'll go to Mom. I'll have her come to school to prove that I wasn't lying." Leo shot back, "I'm not lying either. You're fake. Ava is our real daughter. She's my real sister." Soon, with a monthly exam coming up and the holiday around the corner, the school organized a celebration in the auditorium where families were invited. Over the past month, Leo had tutored me hard while also handling all my errands, fetching water, meals, snacks, picking up books and assignments. If I didn't let him help, he'd get all worked up. Thus, my sole focus was on studying. Hard work paid off. From being an average student, my exam scores rocketed into the top 10 of the entire grade. During the celebration, there was an awards segment for the top 10. Zara, who wasn't in that list at all, tore her paper to shreds upon seeing her scores. Then she glared at me with eyes as green as poison. Unable to make it on stage by merit, she registered for a talent show. In front of the whole class, she called Mom on speakerphone and instructed, "Mom, I want a one-of-a-kind costume and some sparkly jewelry." "Is that cool?" Mom replied, "No problem. I'll get you a custom outfit and a diamond necklace." Zara feigned surprise. "Ain't that going to cost a fortune? Last time we hit an auction, a diamond necklace was a seven-figure deal. This cash is nothing for our fam. Chill and nail your performance." Mom agreed. "Thanks, Mom. I'll do my best." Leo, having heard enough, rushed over and abruptly ended the call. "What the heck are you doing? Who even are you to me? Do you know me at all? Get lost." Zara screamed, "Mia, what are you doing?" Ever since she had clashed with Leo, Zara stopped pretending around him. Leo glared at her coldly, as if meeting her for the first time, his tone icily. "I really wish I'd never known you, Zara." Rolling her eyes, she then dialed another number. To everyone's surprise, this time, she called her big bro, Blake, who was mega popular. His new single had just dropped and was topping all the charts. Half the class had even switched their ringtones to his latest hit. Zara thought this move would make school life unbearable for us, but Leo, with an icy glare, snatched her phone away. "I'm warning you, don't call him. Get lost." Zara fired back, "I'm calling my bro. Who's it to you? My brother's way cooler than you ungrateful, fickle mess." Zara then bit Leo's wrist hard, making him let go, and snatched her phone back. Blake answered, "Do you know whose call this is?" Zara covered the mouthpiece and boasted, "Just say his name and it'll scare all you losers." She dashed to the classroom podium, her voice suddenly sugary as she declared, "Blake, our school is having a celebration, and I got a performance slot. Can you come?" She added, "Sorry, our parents are busy, so I told the teacher you'd be there. If you can't make it, I'll be so bummed." Leo, seething, grabbed her phone again, ended the call, and tossed it back before storming out, his face dark as a storm cloud. The rest of us were stunned. From the podium, Zara triumphantly declared, "Y'all look down on me, right? You'd rather hang with that orphan kid than give me proper respect? Fine. I'll show you something big this time. Don't come crying to me later. Even if you were to lick my toes, I'm not giving anyone a chance." The classmates looked at her like she was the biggest joke. Later that evening, during the awards ceremony, students prepared backstage, while Zara cursed under her breath, her makeup ruined, her eyes blood red with fury. The custom outfit and diamond necklace Mom promised hadn't even arrived. To make matters worse, Mom had been on a business trip overseas for days with no word. Some classmates, recognizing the brands on Zara's clothes and jewelry weren't bespoke at all, mocked her. "Weren't you going to show us something big? Where's the seven-figure diamond necklace? Seriously, if there was an award for daydreaming, you'd snag second place because no one would take first." Zara's face paled, but she sneered through gritted teeth. "I remember you all. I hope you can still laugh when you see my brother." After getting ready, we joined the parents and teachers to watch the performances. As we waited to go on stage, I saw Zara sneak another call to Blake before her performance. Sitting next to me, Leo tried dialing Blake's number, but it wouldn't connect. Soon enough, Zara took the stage, her act ending without Blake ever showing up. The entrance remained calm, and I saw Leo visibly sigh in relief. The host then invited the top 10 students to the stage for their awards. Leo and I were on that list. As we stood in line, Leo turned to me with a calm, gentle smile and whispered, "Don't worry, I told him Blake wouldn't come." I stayed silent. Whether Blake showed or not meant little to me, only Zara desperately hoped he would. When I first joined the family, Blake was rarely around, just 2 or 3 times in the past half year. Even then, he was always napping. Aside from Zara, who clung to him, he barely had the energy to speak to anyone. So even if Blake had come, he'd likely just focus on Zara. Then, suddenly, a burst of commotion erupted from the hall entrance, followed by screams. Teachers scrambled to control the chaos, but it was too wild. Amid the uproar, a dazzling figure emerged, a guy in sunglasses, unmistakably Blake, looking every bit the star with his perfectly styled hair and radiant presence. Zara turned bright red with excitement, shrieking, "Blake's here! Move over, he's here for me!" No one else could hear her over the chaos. The school had never witnessed such a scene before. Security and teachers rushed in to manage the unruly crowd. Zara, desperate to get close to Blake, leapt onto the stage, grabbed the host's mic, and bellowed, "Blake, I'm here! Can you see me?" Her voice boomed over the speakers, instantly silencing the hall. Everyone was utterly shocked, yet Blake seemed unfazed by Zara's outburst. He strode onto the stage and headed straight for us, the award recipients. In front of everyone, he embraced me tightly, his suppressed low sobs audible. That scene felt strangely familiar, just like how Dad had acted before. A light bulb went off in my head. Could it be that we were all reborn? Their sudden, uncharacteristic behavior fit the pattern of a rebirth perfectly. It was like they were trying to compensate for my lonely, dependent past and tragic end. But Dad always said it was just a dream. Didn't he realize he was reborn too? I was utterly confused, my mind in a complete jumble. In that haze, I saw Blake tighten his grip on my hand and pull me to the front of the stage. Through choked-up words, he said, "This is Ava, my most cherished sister." Trying to piece everything together, I later found myself riding in a stretch Rolls-Royce with Blake and Leo flanking me. Blake joked about the temperature, first telling the driver to crank it up, then down, and Leo rummaged in the mini-fridge for my drink of choice. I just said, "I want some peace," and they both nodded, so careful not to make a sound. At home, Dad had decided not to attend the school ceremony. Instead, he had the chef whip up a feast and even cooked himself for the first time in over 50 years. Every cookie looked oddly misshapen. He offered me a plate of those handmade cookies and urged me to try one. But before I could, our pet dog, Max, leapt up and snatched a cookie, gobbling it down. Since the dog had touched them, Dad forbade me from eating any. Soon enough, Max started barking like crazy, sprinting around the house. The servants tried to catch him, but he was unstoppable. After a few laps, he collapsed, convulsing and foaming at the mouth. A servant shrieked, "Poison! Max was poisoned!" Chaos quickly enveloped the house. Money problems got solved in a flash. In under an hour, it was confirmed that Max had been poisoned with a heavy dose of rat poison, and that poison had been mixed into the cookies. Dad wouldn't be that stupid to poison me. He'd never try that on his own daughter now, especially when he was trying to atone for past neglect. With all the surveillance around, it didn't take long to discover that Zara was behind it all. At school, everyone was fixated on celebrity Blake and me, his officially acknowledged sister. Nobody suspected that a jealousy-fueled Zara would dash out of the hall and take a taxi straight to our house. While Dad was in his study, checking baking times, Zara slinked into the kitchen, pretending to grab some chocolate she had stashed away. She sent the chef away with some excuse, and then emptied several packs of rat poison into the butter. Before she could make her getaway in a taxi, our pet dog intercepted the plan by snatching the cookie. Otherwise, that poison one might have been mine. Dad's face darkened as he summoned everyone, ordering a manhunt for Zara. He even called his company, halting work to help capture her. While we all sweated bullets over my safety, Mom, who'd been away on a trip, suddenly returned carrying a sleek black velvet box. She looked pale and injured, with several fingers bandaged, and wandered toward me like a zombie. The softness in her eyes made me think that maybe, just maybe, our rebirth wasn't all a fluke. Mom seemed reborn too. Seeing her, Dad's pent-up anger exploded. He lobbed a rat poison-laced cookie at her, shouting, "Look at your precious daughter! You poisoned Ava! If it weren't for that dumb dog, your own daughter would be dead by now. I swear, when I catch you, I won't let you off." Mom stiffened, expressionless, yet she pressed on toward me. Then, she opened the velvet box, revealing a stunning diamond necklace that gleamed brilliantly despite the fading light. Dad must have overheard Zara demanding the necklace from her, and it only fueled his rage. "That little poisoner, and you even made her a necklace? Fine, I'll use it to strangle her myself," he fumed. Mom seemed completely numb as Dad ranted. Suddenly his phone rang, and he answered, "Find her! Find that lowlife and bring her back!" His voice was raw as Tom and Leo rushed to support him. Steadying himself, Dad took a few pained steps toward Mom while replaying a recording his assistant had just sent, a confession from one of the bullies, after relentless questioning at the juvenile detention center, implicating Zara. The recording revealed that Zara had paid them off and even egged them on to kill me quietly for extra cash. Listening to that, Dad, Blake, and Leo's eyes turned blood red, fists clenched tight. Dad glared at Mom. "Did you hear that? Do you know what your daughter had to endure at school? Beaten, cursed, nearly killed, and you still coddled that ungrateful brat. You think a necklace now can fix your wrongs? You gave birth to her but never raised her right. And then you protected the ungrateful bully who tormented your own daughter?" As he kept yelling, he bent over in pain, squatted, and cried out, "We're all guilty. None of us deserve Ava's love. Ava was right. She shouldn't have come back with us. We're not her family. We're executioners. We killed our own daughter." Blake and Leo lowered their heads, crying uncontrollably, while in the enormous dining room, only Mom and I remained tearless. I stared at them coldly as they ripped open the wounds of my past life. I felt that familiar searing pain again, but no new tears came. I'd already shed them all in my previous life. Just as I was about to leave that suffocating room, I heard Mom retch. I turned and saw her spitting up blood repeatedly until she collapsed. Dad and everyone practically combed the entire city. After the new year, they finally found Zara hiding in a grim, run-down black market clinic. She had contracted a nasty disease and was beyond recognition. When Dad got wind of it, he rushed over first and I followed close behind. Dad, who'd never hit a woman, ended up slapping Zara multiple times as soon as he arrived, making her face swell dramatically. Zara screamed, "Why are you hitting me? I was your beloved princess. What did I do wrong? Why did you bring Ava back? She should have been gone. Why did you bring her back to share everything with me?" We'd raised Zara as our own, giving her the best of everything, but she'd rallied people to bully my daughter and even tried to poison her. And now she had the nerve to whine about it? "Where's your conscience?" Dad roared. The more he ranted, the angrier he got. Finally, he grabbed a broom and hit Zara so hard that she passed out. Dad wanted to gather evidence to lock her up just like the other bullies, but before he could finish, Zara died. Her body was so rotten that it reeked for miles, and the whole street cursed her name. Mom's condition wavered. When she was okay, she either stared at me or at pictures of me all day, or retreated into her workshop to keep crafting jewelry for me. Even with injured fingers, she just couldn't stop. She'd barely respond if anyone tried to intervene, and if forced to, she'd simply faint again, mumbling, "Zara, you're inhuman. Ava, my daughter." Eventually, I used Dad's money to transfer to a university thousands of miles away, ensuring that no one came to see me off. I made sure nobody visited. Everyone tiptoed around me. When I said no, nobody dared disturb my life. I accepted shares in the company and the money they sent me. Leo was the only one who stuck by my side. I started college, got into business, and with my earnings, and the money from the family, aside from my living expenses, I opened welfare homes in every city I visited, adopting countless orphans and giving them the love they truly deserved. In all my welfare homes, whether a child was adopted or later reclaimed by their biological family, if any kid faced hardships in their new home and wanted to come back, we'd welcome them with open arms. Eventually, Leo and I got married, had kids, and built our own family. I never laid eyes on anyone from my original clan again. Even though Blake became a big time celeb for decades, I only ever saw him on TV, never in person. Years later, a lawyer showed up with mountains of documents to sign over stocks, shares, and assets. That's when I learned that both dad and mom had passed away. On their deathbeds, they left everything to me.